Hi everyone, Grumpy Gamer here again. I'm going to show you how to check out what you need to do to see whether the hardware that you're going to buy or what you're going to upgrade and what you're going to do, whether you're going to get value for money. Now, open up your internet browser. Now mine's already got a shortcut. We're going to go and open Passmark Software, PC Benchmark and Test Software. Okay, now if you look along here, it'll have all sorts of choices there. The one we're looking for is the benchmarks. Now, depending on whether you're going to buy a CPU, a processor, or a new video card or some new RAM, here's your benchmarks. So I'm doing a new build. I'll give you a for instance. Now, the easiest way to do this is if you go to the CPU page that I just showed you there and you scroll down, you can just do this with your wheel on your mouse. Now, I've got a CPU that came in a motherboard. It does fit the motherboard that I'm using at the moment, but what I usually do is I go over to the side and drag this down. We're going down to it's an i7, and we just look for here's the serial, here's the numbers of the CPUs. So it's an i7 5930. Now I'll go compare. Now, it's written on the CPU. Sometimes it's a bit hard to see, but it is written on the face of the CPU what you're looking for. So the one that I'm comparing it with that I have bought for the machine is a Xeon. It's a Xeon E5 series, so we'll go to the Xeons, there's W's, X's, so we keep going up till we find the E's. I just find it easier to go to, okay, here's the E's. So we're going for, no, E5, here we go, E5. Now the CPU that I bought to do this is a E5 2699 V3. Now the V3 is the version. There it is there. E5 2699. Now we go compare. Now, up in the corner here, you'll see, I think you can see it on the camera, it's got a 2. We double click on that, and there they are. It'll bring them up. Now, this 10,328 and the 20,377, that's the score. I don't know how they score it or what that means, but that's the value they give on how fast the processor is. The higher the score, the faster the processor. So, even though our standard clock speed, not non-turbo, is 3.5 gigahertz on the i7, it's only 2.3 gigahertz on the E5 Xeon. But when you look at the turbo, we only got 0.1 of a gigahertz difference between the two. So what that's saying is when it hits turbo speed, there's only 0.1 of a gigahertz difference, 3.7 gigahertz to 3.6 gigahertz. But here's the big difference. Physical cores. The i7 only has 6 cores, 12 threads, and the Xeon has 18 cores and 36 threads. So the Xeon actually scores double what the i7 does. So that's a pretty serious upgrade in my books. That's maxed out for this motherboard. Oh, sorry, I tell a lie. No, it's not maxed out. The motherboard, particular motherboard I got will do V4. The only reason I went with the V3 is because the V4 Xeons, which is version 4, this is version 3, they get quite a bit more expensive because they're a little bit more current. So that's a quick rundown. Now, same with the video cards. You can look for your model, same deal. You can search for it if you know it's a high end, and there's the scores. So the fastest one you can buy at the moment for the home user is probably faster video cards than this out there. I don't know of any, but anyway. So a 4090 gets a score of 38,588. Now this machine, I'm going to be putting in a 1070 Ti. Sounds like it's going to be very slow, but surprisingly enough, the old 1070 Ti's, it's still bringing in at 14,690. Now that's a $150 GPU compared to a probably three and a half thousand Australian dollars. It says $2,000 USD. Well, you can nearly say it's nearly $4,000 or thereabouts in Australia. And yeah, okay, it's quite an improvement, but you'd expect it to be for $4,000. Anyway, let's crack on with the build. Okay, here's the build. That's the case it's going in. I should have taken the glass off, but yeah, pretty run-of-the-mill case. Gonna put a brand new power supply in it. It's got all the fans here to go in, and this is what I was talking about before. I've got the motherboard upside down so you can actually read it. I'll try and get it in focus for you. That's the processor that's in the board. This is the processor we're going to put in the board. I'm going to water cool it. It doesn't need to be water cooled. It's just fancier looking. I happen to have a pretty new water cooler there sitting around. Rather than it get damaged, I'd rather put it in a build. I've still got a choice of RAM there. I'm not too sure what I'm going to go with yet, so we'll get to that when I put it in. There's your fan controller. In that box there is the Wi-Fi card. This board comes with a couple of extra slots so that you've got a bit of room for expansion. This is a $69 board, and the processor I think was, from memory, was about $60. Might have been $70 for an 18-core processor. Still pretty cheap. The fans are like $12 each. The cooler I bought off of Marketplace. There was 2 brand new. I can't remember how. I think I paid about $40 each for them, and I think it was about $60 for the power supply. The case, it cost me I think it was about $50 on Marketplace again. So it's not a hugely expensive build, but it will give you performance. The most expensive part, more than likely, in one item, is the 1070 Ti video card. Whoops. Is the 1070 Ti video card. Yep. So that's probably the most expensive thing to buy, depending on how much you spend on the power supply. Okay, I'll crack on with the build. Okay, I've got the cooler just sitting on there, and what I'll do is, I've covered this in the past just make sure that when you tighten these screws down, these particular socket, they don't like them over tightened. I wouldn't screw them down till they stop. I would just make sure they're firm. Once it starts to go firm, that's plenty hard enough. These aren't that hot a CPU. The internals might get a little warm because they've got so many processors stacked in there, but they don't run particularly hot. If you have trouble getting it to boot up or anything like that, the best thing to do is just back these off just a touch. Now the other thing I probably didn't show in another video, I don't know whether I can get close enough to show you, is where it says about connecting the CPU fan. I don't know if I can get it in the shot good enough. It's very, very difficult to get it. I'll try. There it is there beside the battery. I don't know if you can make it out. It says CPU fan. It can be anywhere on the board. Usually it's on the other side of the board up here towards the top of the motherboard, but on these particular motherboards it's over there. And it can only go on one way round. It's pretty self-explanatory, and that's the CPU fan on. The next thing I wanted to show was, if you have a look, you can see there's a slot in the RAM slot, and just try your RAM to make sure you got the right RAM. Make sure it lines up with that RAM slot. If you put it around the other way, you can probably see, I've got a few shadows here today, I don't normally have that problem. It won't go in. So your RAM only goes one way. The best thing to do is slide it in one side at a time, then get a finger and your thumb and just push it home till it clicks. There's no need to jiggle it too much or play with it too much. The less you play with RAM, the better. Okay, I'll put the other one in and we'll keep going. I've got both RAM sticks in there. The next thing I'm going to do, see this slot here with the funny looking flipper on the end? That's the slot where your video card goes in. And here's our video card. Now, normally you would be doing this all in the case. For this, for all intensive purposes here, you just slip the card in as evenly as you possibly can. There it is, it's seated. Now, I haven't got it in the case. You would most likely be doing this in the case. I've just got it outside here for the purposes of filming it. So, there's the power slots for your video card. Now, the orientation and where these are, they can be here. Sometimes on some video cards they're on the back side here. Just as long as you have a look, you'll see on them there's a little bump. See if I can get it here. See, there's a little bump just on this back side here with a notch out there. And if you have a look on the connector, that's where that little latch goes. So let's see if we can get it this way around. The little latch hooks on. So that's how it goes. There's two of them. I've got to do another one. But that's how that works. That's how that works. I'll get the other one on and we're nearly ready just to test fire it. So there she is, she's fired up. I haven't got a keyboard or a mouse or anything because it's got no hard drive hooked up to it. it'll just boot straight to the CMOS. Now the CMOS, that's a whole nother story, and we're probably going to do a whole video on the CMOS because it's something that's quite important. But yeah, I'm not really ready to touch that in this video. Here's the other reason I wanted to get it going, just test all the fans. Some of these fans I've had in the cupboard for a little while, so I just wanted to make sure they were working. And this is a different fan on the CPU. It gets its power from the motherboard, so it ramps up when the processor needs it. So that had to be hooked up a little bit differently to the other fans. But yeah, she all seems to be running nicely. So I can proceed to put it in the case. Getting back to the CMOS, I probably should explain what it is for the people that don't know. The CMOS is the battery side of the computer. If you have a look down there, you'll see there's a little button battery. Now that little button battery is in there to keep the memory for all of the instructions that are in here. Now these are changeable, like you can vary these options. On this particular motherboard, there's not a whole heap on there that you can change that's going to make a great deal of difference. And I've found that when you hook a hard drive up, it'll boot pretty much straight away from the hard drive that you hook up that's got the operating system on it, if there is one on it. And what I'll be doing with this motherboard, it's going to have Windows 10 on it, and I'm just going to put a USB stick in it that's got a bootable USB stick. That's another part of the whole process that we'll cover. It's not always necessary if you're upgrading from say Windows. Well, if you've got Windows 10 on the machine you're using and you're putting a load of motherboard on it or doing whatever, it'll generally run just fine. You might need another CD key. I'll cover on how to get a reasonably priced CD key if you need it for another motherboard. But yeah, I'll start assembling it into the case. So I've gone ahead and put the SSD on there. It's an M2. Yeah, see if I can get a close up for you. And we're ready to assemble it into the case. Of course, I've showed in other videos. First thing we got to do is put the backing plate in, so no nasty little creepy crawlies can get in there. And then we'll probably put the power supply in, because in these cases, like I said before, it gets very tight up in here to try and plug the power on. Although on this motherboard it is in a different spot. Maybe it'll be okay to do it before I put the fan, after I've put the fans in. But okay, I'll crack on with the build. Yeah, as you can see, I've gone ahead and I've put the CPU cooler in. Like I've said before, the fan's sucking from this side and blowing out on the top side. That's getting rid of all the hot air out of the case. You can put them on the front, and I don't like putting them on the back when they're that robust, because it just covers all the motherboard up and you can't see much. So I've decided to put it on the roof and put it on the forward side so you can still see, at least see the motherboard through the glass case. Okay, I'll crack on. As you can see, I've now got all the fans fitted. I actually had too many fans for this because they're 140mm. They wouldn't all fit in, but we managed to make it look pretty good, I think. So it's a matter now of just tidying up some of the wiring and getting the thing to turn on. It's got another hard drive down in under there. Still got to hook it up. There it is there. So that'll stay nice and cool with the air off that fan. I think it's going to be a nice cool environment for this machine. Well, here's the computer, pretty much complete. I got the side covers off of it so that you can see inside. There's the front of the computer. Could only fit those two 140s in there. That's heaps of cooling. There's the controller. Now, this has got two unformatted hard drives in it. Behind the video card there, I don't think you can quite see it, is a M2 SSD, which is attached to the motherboard. I've covered what that is in a previous video. And down underneath in the back there it is, there is another hard disk drive, HDD. So that's basically for your storage. Now, how do we get an operating system on it? Very good question. The good part about these Chinese motherboards is I didn't have to tell it how to do this. I just plugged a USB drive in that had Windows 10 on it. Now, how you get Windows 10 on it, you need a computer that's going. You can follow the instructions on the Microsoft website, but it's pretty easy. You have a blank USB drive. You go to Microsoft Media Creation page, and the instructions are there on how to make this USB drive. And like I said, with this motherboard, I didn't have to go into the BIOS. All I had to do was to have everything plugged in, ready to go, put that USB drive in the back of the computer, and there we go. It's booted up, ready to install Windows 10. And this is a pretty easy thing to do. If I turn the mouse on, sorry, I didn't have the mouse turned on there. So what I do is I leave the English on Windows. I go to here and change the key, the currency format, which you want to go to Australia. I don't think you want American dollars or English. It's easy to go past it because there's only a few A's in English. There you go, Australia. Be careful not to put it as Austria. Then we go next. Install now. Setup is starting. Sorry if this screen flickers, it's just a TV. Now, I bought this motherboard second hand. Chances are it's probably already had an operating system on it, so we have a little bit of a punt here. And I usually click on, I don't have a product key, and we'll see if it has Windows 10 Pro. That's the most common that people put on these. It will install, it's just that you won't be able to activate it unless you have a key, and then you go to custom install. Now, with these options here, you know that it says the ESD USB drive, so obviously we're not going to install it there. Now, it's telling me, I know that it's got a 600 gigabyte, which transfers down when it transfers it down. Transfer it down. It's a 640 gigabyte, but there's 1,040 whatever megabytes per gigabyte, so it's always less. So I know that that's over 500. So that's the hard disk drive, because it doesn't actually tell me and this is the SSD. So I'm just going to go new, apply, OK, and next, and there you go. Now you have to keep an eye on this. It's pretty automatic, but when it gets to finish up, as soon as the computer goes to restart, you need to take the drive out. Otherwise it'll just reboot from the drive 9 times out of 10. I don't know with this Chinese motherboard. It may, some motherboards, the later motherboards, actually bypass that and go straight to the new operating system that you've just installed. Now this gives you an indication of how quick this computer is. You can see how quick that it's getting those files ready to install. So this whole installation is only going to take a few minutes. I won't cover it all. It's all pretty basic once you get to here. There's no real trick questions that you have to be some guru to be able to answer. Like I said, the biggest trick here is to make sure that when it reboots after this installation, that you take the drive out. There's the computer rebooting again after the installation. I've taken the USB drive out. Now I have got a LAN cable plugged in for this stage because it makes it just easier than trying to point the computer to the wireless card. I know Windows 11 will have the drivers for this wireless card, but I don't know about Windows 10. There we are, it's getting ready, just to show you. Just remember, I have got the side covers off this computer because I've just built it. Okay, I've put the glass on now. It looks a bit prettier. Slightly tinted that glass so the lights aren't quite as annoying. They're going through their deal. Okay, here's the screen when it boots up. So here's all the answers to this. You go yes to Australia, obviously. The right keyboard, go yes. I go skip unless you want to add another layout, but I don't usually. It goes through this for a bit. It shouldn't take long on this computer being so quick. 18 cores, don't forget. It's just rebooting again. Okay, on this section here, unless you've got an organisation, I just go set up for personal use. There we go. Next. This is where you would put your Microsoft account email. So if you've opened a Microsoft account, you put your email in there. But I'm going to use an offline account because I'm selling this computer. I'll have the limited experience name. So that's my name, new user. I don't worry about a password at this stage. It just makes it easier for someone else to set up. They don't have to worry about getting passwords off me. Now, I always go not now because I have multiple computers. Here I just go accept. It really doesn't give you any other choice. And here you just choose what I usually put, gaming or an entertainment. It's all strictly I usually don't put Cortana on. I don't like her helping me with stuff. It's a pain in the neck. Now, it's going to set itself up. We're getting everything ready for you. Like I said, GTX 1070 Ti. There you go. As promised, Windows 10. So there's a few things we need to do. This is a pain in the neck when you click on. I got it. I'll just go next, finish. Okay. If you want to find out what is in your computer, this is a program. Easy to show you how to do this. Go to your browser, in the search section, CPU-Z. Now, you have to be a little careful. You want to look for the original site. Sometimes this link gets hijacked and it'll send you to some wacko thing they're trying to sell you crap. So I go to download on the CPU-Z site, and you can choose depending on what your motherboard is. These are just all adverts, so be careful on this side. Even this stuff's just adverts, get rid of it. I just put don't know the brand of the motherboard. Oh, it's some Chinese thing, so I'll just go to the Cooling Master one. I'll go set up. Now, you don't install that. You actually close that. And here is the download now. So don't get caught on installing rubbish software. You got to look to see what you're downloading, and that's the right file there. But this site, I suppose everyone's trying to make money. There it is, it's downloading now over the LAN. I can probably undo that LAN and put in my details, but it's downloading quick enough. I only got 100 megabytes per second on this LAN. We go open file. CPU-Z, just make sure it is what you thought you were downloading. CPU ID. Oops, see, I've got two copies there because I clicked it twice. I'll get rid of that one. Okay, I accept the agreement. Next. Yes, I'll put it in C program files. It's not very good. Go next. Create an install. Bang. We don't want to see that readme text. It's a crock of rubbish. Now, there is more to download here if you want. You go up here to software and see hardware monitor. That will actually tell you. There again, you have to be careful not to download any of this other rubbish. It's this setup exe that you want. That's why I'm showing you this. You don't want that. Just close it. It's an advert again. Download now. That's why I'm making a detailed effort to show you what we're looking for. Here it is up here. It's downloading now. Sorry about the display going like that. It is an old TV that I just got here, just so that it's easy to pan around and get stuff on it with the camera. I'll just wait a couple of seconds. It's 19 seconds and it'll be downloaded, and we'll install it, and then we'll have a look at what they are. We'll go yes. We'll go no to that one because I did it twice again. So yes, C program files, that's where it's going to. Next, create an icon, yes. Install. No, we don't want to see that. Go finish. Now we can close all this. close all this up. Now, as you can see on our desktop, if you click on CPU Z, it'll come up with a little program here. It's checking out what's inside your computer. So before you upgrade, you download this to your old computer. Okay, so your CPU tells you it's a Xeon E5 2699 version 3. It has all this stuff in it. Now the caches is the memory that's inside the processor. This actually has 45 megabytes of onboard memory in the processor. 18 cores, 36 threads. Pretty impressive. Now, the main board, here we go. It's a Humananzi X99. So if you need to find drivers, you come in here, you download this. Here's all the model number and everything. And then you type that into Google and it might come up with some drivers for it. But it seems to run fine on Windows 10. Here's what memory it's got. The memory is dual channel. It means that you can double whatever it says there. So it's running at 21 something, which is the speed of the RAM that I've got in it. SPD, that tells you, now it says it's got 4 slots, which isn't correct. It's only got 2. Slot 1's got nothing in it. Slot 2, nothing. So it's 3 and 4. There you go. That's, yeah, DDR266, DDR4. So it's running a little bit under clock, but we're not going to worry about that. There's the other one. I'll go through this quick. The graphics is a GTX 1070. Okay, the bench. Right, now what that means is this will compare to these processors in this little list down here. So we'll test how fast this thing is. Let's try something fairly, let's try an maybe that's a bit, i9, Ryzen 7 3700X, which is 8-core processor. They're a pretty good processor. Oh, we're going to kill that. No, we'll go a bit higher than that. I think it comes under. I might try this i7. It's a 10th series i7. So then we go to bench. Oh God, I shot too low again. Look at that, people. $40, $50 CPU, and it's benching single score. Now, if you're going to game a lot, that's not great, but 403 is still pretty good. Just remember, it's an older Xeon, but we can even go higher on this. Let's see here. Here's an i9. Still beats an i9. 1900K. What is it? 11900K. How about we try a bit higher up the rank? How about that? Oh yeah, we killed that. That's 8 cores. Oh no, that's the same one. i9, still killing that. How about we go to the Threadripper? Oh look, first of the Threadrippers, the 1950. It knocked us off the block, but not by much. We're pretty close to the single core. See up the top there, it says single CPU, single thread. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive indeed. Those CPUs, you won't get them for under like $300, $400 second hand. I just clicked on this hardware monitor. So what it does, I know this is getting a bit lengthy, this tutorial, but this is really handy stuff to know about. This is just showing you the temps, how hard your computer's working. There's all the physical cores. Have a look at them all. 18 of them. And they're running up around the 3600 megahertz. 3591. You get 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 of those get running at 3.6 gigahertz, and she's a pretty fast machine. Temperatures are pretty good. Look at that. All these temperatures are, I wouldn't take any notice at 109 degrees centigrade. That's probably a sensor that's not hooked up. So that gives you all the information there. So yep, the other thing I said is down here. We'll go to go to Microsoft. Oh, come on. Windows Systems Control Panel. Okay, we'll see. It is on the internet. We'll see if our CD key is working. Your PC is monitored and protected. So it is the CD key that was associated with the motherboard at some stage was good, and so she's all good to go for the new owner. So I will be selling this computer on Marketplace, so if you're interested, I'll have the pricing there. I'm going to work out what I'm going to sell it for yet, and have a good one. Signing out.